all the Asians are probably gonna be like, but this is gonna be really great for you. So, I'd love to, so Daryl and Matthew, if you guys wouldn't mind, or if you're in a position that you guys could hop off mute and maybe come on screen, maybe. But would love to hear why you are here today. Oh.
Hey, Rebecca, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm going to make you louder. I know you've been here before.
Yeah, I can't get the video to work for some reason. I'm not sure what the deal with it is.
Come on. Make your intro.
Okay. Yeah, it won't let me go on video for some reason. Anyway, my name is Matthew. Formerly with Homebridge. Homebridge is now CMG. So here just to kind of let y'all know that CMG has a whole lot of new products in particular that help you all out, particular with focus on the art of negotiation. There's a couple of new products that might interest you all. I'd love to talk to you outside of the meeting about those. So
awesome. Thanks for sharing. Daryl, who are you? What you doing? Maybe. Okay, no problem. So welcome. Hi. We're gonna have a lot of people popping in and out because of traffic. So yeah. When you do have a free moment, we have a sign in, but you don't have to do it right now. So you all have been here, and so you know, but I'm gonna have you introduce yourselves. Hey, welcome back. But Daryl, if you can, if you're available, feel free to pop off mute and introduce yourself and what you're doing here. And we're just doing intros. Okay, so right on time. Great. So, okay, cool. I'd love to start with you. Okay. Who you are while you're here.
Well, I'm Elizabeth Littleton, and I'm a real estate investor. I started about a year ago. I just kind of right now doing it part-time, and I'm looking at doing wholesale. Well, I am doing out in land, what I'm focusing on, and
awesome. Great. You're in the right place. Jack?
My name is Jay Gore. I'm with the Keller Williams Connected. I'm here because I saw the class had a part of it. Tonight is going to be about negotiation.
that's what really interested me too.
This will be good for you. I'm telling Michelle, this is probably going to be great for y'all specifically. That's good. Black. Thanks for being here.
Jeff Jones on Keller Williams, same thing, negotiations.
Yeah.
Always get better.
Always, yeah.
Like, is the door sticking? I'm not sure.
It's a regular meeting.
It is every, so typically traffic is big, you know, it's an issue. But we meet every second Wednesday of each month, typically here, unless we have like a special guest or a special theme, we're here. Yeah. So again, people are going to be popping in and out. And I'm sorry, I got up here speaking.
Oh, you're fine. I'm done.
Michelle.
I'm Chef Gabor. I
Hey, Rebecca.
Oh. Okay, hold on one second. Sorry. Hey.
Daryl here. Sorry about that. I was on my cell phone and was having communication problems with trying to get in. So I'm here now, wholesaling, trying to network with fellow investors.
Cool. I see your business card on there. It says probate and what do? You do wholesaling, maybe?
Yes. Well, I let the numbers dictate the deal. Every deal is not a wholesale deal. Maybe it's a subject to creative financing. So the numbers dictate the deal, but I focus on wholesaling and buying whole.
I love it. What a great tool to have. Thanks for introducing yourself. Are you here in Charlotte?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Okay, cool. And then Michelle.
real estate investor working primarily in the Rockville area. I've been Winchester.
Awesome. Real estate agent getting into investing.
hopefully this year.
And you're Lori.
I'm Lori, sorry, yes, I know. It's been a long day. I've been from Lexington to Gastonia to Charlotte and back again. and
Oh my goodness.
I'm done for the day.
Well, thanks for being here.
Hi, I'm Bridget Graves. I'm a realtor and also an investor. Small, not huge. I only have 3 properties. But I'm trying to get more.
Awesome.
It's just a little bit of problem with the interest rates right now.
Yeah.
What's up?
We can talk, we'll talk a little bit about that, but like, I think this is a really great opportunity to use creative financing.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah, awesome.
Did you have that extra pen?
I do, yeah.
Thank you.
It's a branded pen, but you know.
That's fine. I will give it back to you. Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome. Anyone else need that? And then Ashley, if you can introduce yourself.
I'm Ashley Marsh. We have 1 property in Seneca, South Carolina, long-term rental. Trying to figure out how to get,
Awesome. So, again, people are gonna pop in, so it's gonna be a little bit of a in and out for a little bit, but I'm Rebecca Cullen, and I own Cullen Company at Keller Williams. You're at my office, and we manage properties, we serve clients, we do all the things, but the most important thing is teaching people how to build wealth through real estate. That's really my passion. And so we partnered with Grid, which is what you're here for, Grid Investor Network. We partnered with them last year so that we could have hyper local education. And every month, second Wednesday of each month at 5:30, we are Zooming for those who can't be here in person, but I love the in-person because then we can actually network and get to know each other. But really focused on sticking to the timeline, getting people in and out, and achieving everyone's goals at one time. So that's our focus. And I want you all to feel connected to one another. There's actually 200 people in our meetup group these days. So this is growing. They have access to all the videos to watch back. You all have access. So that's why we try to record them. But I think the best opportunity is to partner with those of us in the group. Like Daryl and Matthew are your funding, right? Daryl might be able to make one of your sellers go under contract because of creative opportunities with him. And then Matthew might be able to get you some money that you didn't know you had access to in the future. So, and then of course, there's other connections that we've introduced everyone to as well. We're gonna get into it, if it's okay. Okay. And those that are in the profession, like who have actually sellers and negotiated, if you want to chime in to best practices as well, this can absolutely be an open dialogue. I encourage it. So what is a motivated seller? So a seller is someone, forgive me, there's a communication thing happening right now that'll keep singing. But a seller who is compelled by circumstance or emotion to sell the property for less than the market would pay under normal circumstances. So the days of people just putting a sign in the yards, that's not happening anymore because we're seeing higher days on market and we are seeing a lot of emotional sellers or distressed sellers again. So those of us who are in the investor world, we can actually find some diamonds in the rough. I'm not allowing the interest rate to dictate whether or not an opportunity makes sense. So for a seller to be motivated, there must be something going on in their lives. And remember that we are the problem solving, we're in the problem solving business. So identify the problem and then you'll find a solution. If they do not want to move, don't make them move. You will just have an ongoing battle, right? So the biggest two factors or motivators for a seller are circumstance and emotion. So a circumstance is property condition, they don't want to make repairs, maybe they have fire in the home and they don't want to have to deal with that, they don't have insurance, all those could be motivators. Unsellable. No one but an investor wants to buy this. Maybe it was purchased in a tax lien opportunity and it's not deedable, right? We have unsellable listings sometimes. Yes, it might be a challenge to lock it up also, but if you're willing to take the time and purchase something at a discount and just go through the process of probate or, you know, reconciling the deed, that might be something you want to get into.
Is reconciling the deed expensive or just time?
It could be expensive with attorneys. In most cases, I've had attorneys handle it, and then you just pay for their time. It's definitely time consuming. Yeah. So Daryl, I don't know if you have any experience in that.
With clarification experience in what?
When a tax lien, or if the property was purchased with a tax lien, and if heirs have passed.
As far as heirship and probate, typically, most of my probates are either through the executor or the personal representative. Now, as far as a tax lien from a tax purchase sale with heirs is what you're asking about, Ms. Rebecca? No, I haven't had a situation where there's been an heir property with a tax lien on a purchase.
Okay, in South Carolina, it takes longer. It's a requirement in South Carolina to have all of it reconciled before there can be a sale. Well, the title will always have a cloud otherwise. So if you try to flip a property and you have this cloud on the property, it will not be financed in the future.
What about vacant land? It's been years since, and it's now about.
So there's gotta be some sort of error. There's gotta be some sort of
In contact, but I just didn't know if there's a time period, you still have to go through that permit, even if it's been that long.
Well, if there's a
That's not a tax.
will, or if it hasn't gone through probate because there's actually an executor of the estate, you would just have to have all that paperwork.
So what if there's not a will or an executor? I had a seller die in the middle of a listing,
Yes,
no will, and the whole family said, not opening probate, I don't want to deal with it.
it's not sellable.
Yeah, we had to let it go to foreclosure.
Yeah.
So that was the only thing we could do, but I don't even know if they've done fixed title with. Or if they did.
They may not have, right? They may not have. So,
Unsellable unless it's in the person. The deed is in the person's name who's buying or who's selling it, correct?
correct,
If it's.
yeah.
It was foreclosure though.
So, but then that's the thing. So things foreclose and then you go to sell or you purchase it from foreclosure. If that has not been settled, there's still always going to be the chain of title issue. And so the lender could potentially not allow you to close. Yeah, so we just went through this with the South Carolina company, and it all had to be settled. They did a lot of BIN verifying and skip tracing, and ultimately we ended up having to go to the person's work and get them to sign off on the deed. All great questions though. These are questions that you should be asking. Yeah.
In South Carolina, they're a property owner, like. They're more for property owners. You own the property, whoever owns it, they are gonna fight for that person rather than somebody that's trying to take it over. I
Yes.
dealt with that with easements for my own job, so.
Yes. Yep. Yep. So time frame, external pressure, pre-foreclosure, needs cash now. Pre-foreclosures are excellent because you're saving them, basically. So there's a reason why they're going to have to foreclose. And if you can settle that, or if they are about to lose their property because they didn't pay taxes for years. Yes, and most of the time they're willing to do that. Yeah. And then of course convenience. So absentee landlord, out of state, inheritance, or an estate. We are targeting right now absentee owners. We're noticing that there's a lot of vacancies because for whatever reason, they don't have a property manager, or maybe it's too expensive for them to find one, and there's not a lot of money, like they own the home outright, or they own the home for a $300 payment, so it doesn't hurt them to not sell. Whereas we're calling them with two solutions. We'll buy the property from you, or we'll property manage the property for you. And so we're seeing a lot of success with that right now.
Are you gonna get into how to find those absentee owners, or is that not tonight?
It's maybe tonight, but I'm happy to share.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy to share.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me see if it comes up later, but we can talk about that. So then about emotion, so owner no longer loves the house, so love it or list it. I love that show. No longer loves the house and is emotionally detached because of condition. It's not what it used to be, or perhaps, it's a little bit too much maintenance for them. Embarrassment. They don't want to show the property. We had a case where like someone was so sick and that they were the caretaker. And then when ultimately they passed, they were just so embarrassed with the condition of the home because they were taking on the caring. And so we were able to just make that a win for them. Also, you can come up with solutions. So if they're embarrassed about that and you know that you're going to wholesale it or you're going to rehab it, perhaps ask them if it would be okay for you to do some updates. Like maybe you change out the carpet, or maybe you change out the paint. And then ultimately you can sell it a lot faster. Emotional distress, divorce or estate. And then of course, bad rental. So vacancies. I've had this issue a couple of times. Bad tenants, poor cash flow. So especially right now, people are making not so great cash flowing decisions. They're buying properties with high interest rates and they're willing to not cash flow. I highly, highly suggest do not get into the game of purchasing for no cash flow right now. The height of the market. The seller motivated by circumstance needs the house sold, and the seller motivated by emotion wants the house out of their life. So when you figure that out, it is a lot easier to have multiple conversations or ask additional questions. Okay. So I'll answer your how to find absentee owners right now. You go to tax records. And so, for example, if there's specific neighborhoods that you want to target, pull the tax records for that particular neighborhood or that zip code. And then just notice the tax record will show a different billing address. That is an absentee owner.
But you would just have to go through it like house by house.
You would, unless you want to pay for a system. We own Mojo, or we have like different dialers that we can pull. Yeah, I mean, in the past, we've done line by line. We've paid for lists. It's worth it to us though. If we just get 2 or 3, it's paying for itself. I mean, more than pay for itself. So the phone rings, now what? Be friendly, but authoritative. Because they are calling you with a problem. They're not curious. You've either sent them a mailer, called them, whatever the case is, knocked on their door, left them a flyer. They are calling you because they are a hand raiser, not because they're curious. Okay? So determine the motivation on the phone call. Oftentimes as real estate agents, we are taught, get in the door, get to the appointment, and then ask questions. You're gonna wanna do a lot of pre-qualification type questions on the front end, because you wanna decide if this is a ready, willing, or able seller. Your time is valuable. And so here are the questions. Number one, how did you hear about us? That way you know what works. Number two, is the house actually on the market? So oftentimes people will have their homes listed and then it doesn't sell, and so then they go into the freak out mode. If it's listed, have you had any offers? Probably not, if they're calling you. We just had where our seller was one day on the market, freaked out because they found their dream home, and then went on Open Doors website, and it automatically sends me the offer that they're sending because it's listed, which I love because Open Doors being great about that. But I was like, guys, what's happening? Like, we're one day on the market. We just got multiple offers. Why are you doing that? But they wanted the easy solution. When we saw the Open Doors offer was $100,000 lower than what they wanted, they realized they didn't do the right thing. So that will happen. It's hilarious. Ask this question: when or why are you selling? They will tell you. When was the last time the kitchen, bathrooms were renovated? Kitchens and bathrooms sell homes. When was the roof, HVAC, water heater, windows installed? Those are also things that sell homes. Secondary. What else needs to be fixed or made better to sell their house for full market value? So again, we're not looking at it from a market value perspective. We're looking at it from a 30% below market value perspective. And then that way, you know, going into the preview, if you get there, how much your renovation cost, your ARV, is going to be. Is your mortgage current? If it's not, you might have an opportunity to assume their mortgage or do a subject to contract, which we've also talked about in the past.
When you do that, you typically disclose to the mortgage company that you're taking over.
I do not. Yeah, so and it's totally not allowed, right? Like, so you have to find an attorney and a title company that will make this happen. Matthew, close your ears. But I turn them into third party. I become the third party authority on their web account, and then I just make payments that way.
I had an attorney that was doing that, and now she's kind of.
Yeah.
So to be clear, is it legal or not legal?
So the lender could call it due.
Right. I mean, I know why you're trying to avoid it. I'm just asking, is it legal or not legal? Or is it gray?
It's gray, which is why it happens.
Okay.
I think it's one of those situations where the less they know, it's not really going to matter. So if there's a history where you're 12 months and it's third party payments, the lender's going to notice that and look into it. But, you know, you go short term, probably no one's going to care.
Thank you.
Also, too, if I may jump in, Miss Rebecca, also too, as long as your payments are current, I don't really think the bank cares. But now with the rates coming up, all these 3 and 4% loans that they have out there, when they can call a loan due and, you know, use that money at 6, 7, or 8%, we might have to be careful in the future. But the key thing is keep your payments paid. As long as the bank's getting their money, usually they don't worry.
Absolutely. Thank you both for that. Are there any liens or judgments? Those are important because then they become your issue. How much is owed on the house? And you need to determine if you can help them. You might
Jump in on how much is owed on the house. If
Yeah.
they are behind and it's USDA, don't take that number for granted. I've had 2 in the last year have $150,000 to $180,000 in fees.
In fees
And
from USDA?
USDA can take up to 50% of the value of the home if they're behind on your mortgage. So,
Wow.
it's unbelievable.
Good advice.
And then, of course, I love this question, how much are you asking? Right, if they're like, you know that property is worth maybe $300,000 on a great day and they want 500, you don't have a seller, you know? You're just not on the same page. Now, we had just had a situation where we were calling on a luxury neighborhood that had some distressed homes, and values in that neighborhood were about 700,000. And this particular seller said that he would let it go for 550. Well, that intrigued us.
Yeah.
And come to find out, it's a perfect situation for us because all it needs is paint and carpet. Right? And so they're willing to let it go for 550. We're not even gonna put that thing on the market. We're just gonna take it on. So.
Take it on as a rental or a flip?
Flip.
Okay, so I have a question. Are you done with the questions we're supposed to ask, or would you come?
Questions are done.
Okay, so here's my question.
Yes.
What do you find is the best way to find these sellers? I know how to find if it's owner occupied or vacant, but do you do phone? Do you do mailers, letters? Do you knock on doors? Which do you find is the most effective?
All of that. So I think the best way to figure out if it's vacant is the door knocking and the constant coming back to visit that particular neighborhood. But we're just asking right now, just to make things faster. We're just asking the question, like, do you have a tenant in place? And if they're
This is over the phone or when you're knocking on the door? Who answers?
over the phone.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so phone is usually your first go-to?
Currently, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We've done the mailers, we've done the door knocking, we've done all the, right now people are actually answering the doors when we're door knocking, like they weren't for the last 2 years because of, the pandemic, but people are answering doors again, and people are in these predicaments where they think the recession's coming, well, we're in the recession, or they think one way and the sky is falling. And so ready, willing, and able people are coming to the table. The other great thing about, it's not a great thing, but the other thing about what's happening is people are deciding to retire sooner because of everything that's happened over the last few years, or they're realizing that they want to be closer to family, or life changes are happening. And so granted, it was always happening that way, but I think people are moving out of our area to go do their life things. And that creates a little bit more of seller motivation also. And season, like we're finally back in spring, and this is when houses get listed. So people are thinking that way. Okay, here's a script tip. We find that most people have a number in mind, and it helps us find the right solution when we know where you're coming from. So we find that most people have a number in mind, and it helps us find the right solution when we know where you're coming from. So again, 1, be friendly but authoritative. 2, determine their motivation. And then finally, 3, make the offer. So I don't like making offers over the phone. Daryl, do you like making offers over the phone?
Y'all like making offers where?
So do you make them over the phone?
No, I usually email my offers. I usually make 2 offers, a cash offer and then a creative finance offer if the deal allows.
Awesome. And how much time goes by? Are you just sending those or have you had a conversation with your seller?
I'm a phone person, so I'm conversating and figuring out where their bottom line is for all cash deal based on what their problem is or what solution I'm providing. For example, I have a guy that wants to relocate to Florida and he just recently had a stroke. So I'm not only coordinating the sale, but also the pack up and the estate sale because he can't inventory and price and, you know, have people transferring through his house Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays. So that's a benefit of the solution that I'm providing to his need to get him to Florida. So that's a more face-to-face. But starting out, I'm usually over the phone and then typically I sit at the kitchen table.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you for that. So we've taught our team to not give an offer over the phone at the same time of the conversation. So thank them for their time, go through your questions, let them know that you'll be followed, obviously get their contact information, make sure it's all accurate, but take some time, do some research, and then go ahead and email them the offer. It's in most cases more digestible when they can see it in front of them, right? And so I think that's Daryl's same thing where it's like you get them anxious and eager over the phone and then send them the opportunity. And if they need to sell, then they will either ask more questions about your offer, gain some clarity. Oftentimes it's not a let's rock and roll, let's get this thing signed, unless you're really close to what they want. But in most cases, you're probably going to have another conversation about what package or solution, Darryl says, makes more sense for them. So the negotiation piece is huge. So if you're at your computer, have a way to be able to just like look to see if what they want and what you can get to is close. So like Remine, or we have the MLS, of course. You can hop on realtor.com and see what all the houses on that street have sold for or are valued at. Zillow's not accurate. Realtor.com really just, I don't know. I like realtor.com better. And then RPR for those of us who have it, access to it. But just a way for you to quickly be able to see that this conversation should continue. And then make sure that you follow up after emailing the offer. Make sure, because they will have questions, they will ghost you. If they're offended, they'll never talk to you again. But if you build that rapport with them and you understand their goals, then they'll love hearing from you.
So what if you're not actually going inside these homes and you're making them sight unseen? I get that you're doing the research, but what if they can't answer some of your questions? And then you get there, you've already emailed them an offer, and you find out it needs a lot more work than you. They don't know when the roof was replaced. They don't know about the windows. What else needs to be done? Well, not much. And then you get there and find out it's a, disaster.
Yes. So in those cases where they can't answer your questions, you say, great, just takes 15 minutes. I'd love to preview your home and then I'll be able to come up with an offer. So yeah, in the most of the cases when they do walk you through, in some cases, you're talking to an executor or a power of attorney or somebody that may not be familiar with the actual home in some cases. So yeah, you just say it takes 15 minutes, would love to just walk through the property. Or even, we've had cases where we've asked somebody to snap some photos.
So my question is, you haven't seen it, but you emailed the offer, they like it, they sign it, and then you get there and it's just a much worse situation. It's gonna cost you more money than you thought. That's just the way it goes.
No, so in most cases, you have a due diligence period.
Right.
And so like, we're not talking about the like the actual real estate contract. So I would not suggest using an actual offer to purchase for like what we do on a day-to-day basis. Your offer should be a document specific to your company, and an attorney can draw it up. And it's basically saying, if you choose to assign the contract, you can. Also, if you choose to back out due to condition, here's what that term fee would be, termination fee. Or, you know, whatever other conditions you want to put in there. If the title does not clear, then it's subject to that as well. All those things would protect you. Thanks. You're welcome. So 70% of ARV, stick to that. A lot of people lost a lot of money the last 3 years because they did not stick to that. Yeah, I mean, depends on motivation, right? And then if you can get close to the number, make an appointment to go see the house and get everything signed. If you don't like the house, the price, or the seller, refer them to someone else. Right? Someone could probably make that deal happen. If you're a real estate agent, go ahead and put a sign in the yard. Okay. Do you need water? Okay. I was gonna say, if you want water, there's more. Okay. Okay, so the final step is setting the appointment. So when you set the appointment, make sure all parties who have to sign are there. It is a gigantic waste of time if you're not talking to all of them. So that includes the executor, the power of attorney, the, you know, in some cases, the family member that's designated. And make sure that you have their actual legal documents for that. Because if you don't have anything either. If the seller is there and you are at the house, they're going to want to show you the house, obviously. My favorite thing is when they tell you what room you're standing in. Like, that's my favorite thing. They're so cute, all of them. This is the living room, this is the kitchen. I'm like, but that's where you're building the rapport. You get to figure out what kind of personality they have. And assuming you've already made the offer, assuming that you guys are in alignment on price, this is an opportunity for you to potentially negotiate some more. So if they tell you, well, I met with this real estate agent and they said they could get me X. Completely understand. However, you're going to pay some marketing fees. You're going to take at least 21 days to get the house ready to go. You're going to have photos. We're going to make this seamless and easy for you. It looks like it might be challenging to pack up the house. So Daryl had that solution. Might be challenging. I'm going to go ahead and include the movers for you. to you, that's like this is local, right? Like I'm just talking local, he's talking about Florida, but like for me, it's a $1,500 expense. I will absolutely move somebody if that's the one thing between them. If I can get the house for a great price and $1,500 is the reason why we can't move forward, I will figure out a way to make that happen. So figure out what their pain points are, if it's the updating of the home, or if it's they don't want to have to go to the attorney's office. We can do everything DocuSign, we can do things virtually for the most part with most sellers. When you're at the house, make sure you re-ask them all the questions so that the story didn't change. Ask them directly about any deficiencies. So like, is that toilet functional? Is that sump pump working? Whatever, roof, when was that last replaced? Ask them again, all of those questions. I can't tell you how many times the story changes from the phone to the in-person. How long has whatever been leaking, broken, moldy? You, for the most part, you're not an inspector, maybe you are, but I can tell when there's a crack in the ceiling. Or I can see, you know, if there's a window that has the direct, what is that, a vertical line? That might be a settling issue. It's probably not a foundation issue. If it was, what's this, horizontal, then we might have an actual issue with piers. Make your offer and your pitch all cash as is, all of those things. If you're intending to get a loan, disclose that. Because it's not all cash, it's not all fast. You do maybe have to get an appraisal done, but you will do whatever it takes to close. But you, when you're doing that, should be the person paying for all the closing costs, all of the, like, we're not going in there asking for repairs. We're already taking that off the price on the front end. And then make sure, this is a fun thing, make sure that if you're there, you install a lockbox. So if you're physically there, they're ready to work with you and make this happen for you, have a lockbox with you. Ask for an extra key. That way you can start sending your contractors over. Or if they want to wait until they've moved out before all of that happens, just make sure that you have a lockbox so that they can put their key in there for seamless pop-up. Yeah, they will, for sure. And then also just let them know, because you may not ever see these people again after this point, depending on the circumstance. Just let them know that your partner may be coming in and out, because you're probably going to either assign the contract or work with someone else. Contractors might come in, if it's vacant, especially. I wouldn't advise you to do that if they actually are living there. Try not to disturb them if possible, but you may not see them again. Anything you want to add to that, Daryl?
Pretty much you've covered it.
So seller psychology, a truly motivated seller will try to sell you on the house. So when you're asking those questions, the next person to talk should be them, not you. And then try to negative sell. I always love telling our buyer clients, if an agent is around or at an open house, I'm like, talk about all the negatives. Like, you don't love this house. And then that way, when we go to write the offer, there's some negotiation power. But this sounds like a really nice house. Do you need help selling it? That's a great thing to say over the phone. Or trying to be like, wow, I love the crown molding. Like, just things like that, that really puff them up. But then, oh, I noticed I'm gonna have to redo the floors. Or, oh, I noticed I'm gonna have to fix that. I'll just take care of that for you. Those kind of things will really help them feel good.
Compliment first and point out the negative.
Yep. Exactly. What questions do y'all have?
Creative financing is one, because I was looking at a beach, seasonal beach house in Wild Dunes, and even the lenders that said, oh, we're very creative, they're still institutional lenders. It wasn't, I didn't have hard money or someone saying, I'll lend you some money on the side. They still wanted a certain amount down payment, you know, so, and then it just turned out that it was too expensive based on all of the fees that the resort had on top of the financing. Had a great track record for rental, but going in initially, I was gonna be in the negative. So I said,
Yeah. Well, and so here's a few reasons why that may not be the right deal right now. You have your high condo association fees
yes.
with your interest rates being so high, it's not gonna cash flow. And you have your tax rate, your tax 6%.
Right.
So what would that same deal look like in a North Carolina property or a Florida property? And maybe you talk to a regional bank, or maybe you talk to Matthew, who might have some lower fees. I would look at, yes, maybe Wild Dunes doesn't work now.
Yeah.
Maybe it will. Go ahead.
Yeah. So she's right. So there's a couple of things on the like creative financing. So unlike Daryl, we don't do the cash up front. So that's something you probably have talked to Daryl about. But we do have creative financing options, and that's definitely something based off your goals we can figure out. We've got all different kinds of channels. A really interesting option for motivated sellers, if you want to then turn around and pick up, investment, would be like a list and lock option that we have available to us now, where the seller can actually pay for below market rate. So back to the beginning, what she's saying, if you've got a motivated seller or somebody that, they're in over their head and they need to dump the property to get out of to get out of hot water, that's an option. And then there are other ways that we can structure it, non-QM, all kinds of different creative ways that we can structure it, just depending on what your goals are. So there's tons of options. It's case by case and what your end goal is.
Right, well, I will want your contact information, but this particular seller was not motivated.
Yeah.
It was, here's the price and that's it, and they knew that if I didn't buy it right then, they'd sell it in 2 days.
Right.
I was only attracted to it for the investment property, I wasn't gonna stay there at all because I needed all to, rent out. But,
Yeah.
thank you for that on Zoom, I appreciate that.
My contact information, there's a link to my website that's in the chat. And if you need anything else, you can just hit me up on the chat.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to say it because
Okay.
they can't see it. Oh, there we go. Hold on. I'm going to give it to her after. Thank you for that link. Cool. All right. Thanks, Matthew. So the other thing is, if you know you want to be there, why not pull all the owners, all the buildings, and just start writing them letters and see who is the motivated.
Yeah. Okay.
when I was looking for an opportunity, another investment opportunity, for vacation rental, I golden lettered the entire strand. Like I literally just took anything on Ocean Boulevard and targeted them.
And golden letter, you're
So,
meaning,
a golden letter is, would you consider selling your home at 123 Main Street to a buyer I am serving? I'm the buyer.
gotcha, gotcha.
The other good, I mean, you're an agent, so you can get referral income. Also, if that doesn't work for you, then you kick it over to an agent partner of yours in that area.
Right.
Did the PickFord work for you? Did you find one?
Yes, we found one, but not because of the letter. So we found a lot of referral opportunities and sent them to the beach. But no, we ended up buying something on the market. We got it for 200,000 less than market. Yeah. Just timing, right? I will say right now, I'm finding VRBO and Airbnb I'm having vacancies. So we have 4 properties that we manage right now with Airbnb and VRBO. And like, it is hard to get people to book them. Because there's so many, there's so much competition. And so I'm having an easier time to fill that same property just on my Facebook. Like sending people to my booking site and then telling them I'll book it for them. So, what other questions? That was great. Was this helpful?
Yeah,
Okay,
yes,
Okay.
definitely good.
great.
Excellent.
Did you get everything you wanted out of this conversation? Or hoped for?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay. I
So
wanna
it's
make sure-
really a two-step process. You first you gotta find them and then you be prepared, know what to say, get your script down.
Yeah,
That I'm comfortable with. It's finding them is the.
yeah, the finding the motivated seller is all about negotiation. It's all about what is important to them and what their challenge is. And then figuring out what your solution is. So a year ago, we started to realize that we needed selling solutions. Like we literally market it as selling solutions. So we go in and number one, am I gonna buy this house? That's always our number one. Is it gonna be me or one of my teammates? Number two, do we already serve an investor or a buyer that is gonna buy this house? If that's not the case, then we go to the third selling solution, which is, do I need to do a home transformation in order to maximize their return? And can they afford to do that? If they can't, then we front the money to do it. And then we just package it as a home transformation. And we go to market. If I paid for the home transformation, then they pay me at closing for everything that was purchased or everything that we did. So like, for example, if they need, for example,
Yeah.
I have a seller right now in Rock Hill. You saw the property. That was a home transformation plan. So he needed new floors, new paint, new bathrooms, total rehab. All contractors, all legit, but it was a full remodel. Yes. So that was a home transformation client that he funded that. I did not fund that, but we marketed it. And if for some reason it doesn't sell, he'll keep it. He just upgraded his property and then he'll put a renter in it and then we'll try again. So it was a total win for him. And we were able to just make that happen for him.
So Rebecca, when you front the money, Do you have instances where sometimes you're literally out of your bank account, or have you used Curbio?
I have not used Curbio. But yeah, we have a capital account specific to that. And if for some reason the house does not, we don't do this for houses that won't sell.
Right.
Right, and so, if for some reason the house doesn't sell, then yes, we figure out a payment plan for the seller to pay us back, or the owner to pay us back. But we have yet to have an issue where we did not get paid back. It was a total win-win for everybody over the last 2 years.
How often have you done that?
Home transformation? At least 7 times where it was a sale, like an ending sale. In some cases, we just became the property manager.
And was that their plan from the onset or did things went awry?
Yeah. Things just didn't work out. Like we didn't match the market, or they wanted more money than we said we could get because of the transformation. Again, it's that emotion tag.
Yeah.
What I love and what I've learned over the last year is we set the price no matter what before the home transformation. That way we have buy-in. And then that way we also measure the market, because over the last 6 months, we haven't, yeah, it's totally changed. It's actually gone down in most cases. And so if we promised them that the price would change when they renovate, well, then we failed. In most cases, we say, when you do these things, you will then get this price, which is the market value. And we don't go up from there. And then we also have times where we just take whatever the comps are, and in a lot of cases, they're selling for like 92, 93% now. They're not selling for 106% anymore. And we just take that lower percentage that the comps are selling for, and that's our starting price.
After the home transformation.
Because then that way it goes in multiples and you just are exceeding.
Right.
But that, you know, if you don't have your real estate license and you're wholesaling it, like just use that also as perspective. Just use your measurement of pricing, ARV, you know, you have room if you go with the 30%. Or 40% is what they're advising now.
Exactly. So the owner is still in that.
We like to move them out, yeah. Like if we're taking the project on, they need to divorce the house. This is not their house that they are staying in.
So basically, it's kind of like an owner flip. They're flipping their house to sell it better,
Yeah, I
but
mean,
with help.
we just call it home transformation. Yeah. Because in their mind, if you use that terminology and you say flip,
Yeah.
then they're gonna be like, you know, this is my house.
Right.
And I'm saying, no, this is going to be not your house anymore. We're selling this baby, whether it's wholesale or market value or whatever.
Right.
Mindset is huge. Language is huge. We also don't say transactions. Like I have a really big issue with the word transaction because it's so like
Cold.
yeah. And I say, we use closing. So like we use closing coordinator, not transaction coordinator. We say, relationship, client care, like those kind of things, because it makes them feel a little bit warmer, that someone is there for them to take them through the process. We have like a listing coordinator, a database manager, you know, all those things. We just make it more relationship building so that the seller feels more confident. And if it's just you, then just say, you know, the right language to make them feel warm.
Yeah. Yeah, that.
Any other questions? Thoughts?
So each month you do a different topic.
Yes, so next month, May 10th, I think is the month, yeah. May 10th, 5:30, we're talking about buying and holding, which is my favorite topic to talk about. Lots of experience in that, but I'm going to work, if anybody knows somebody that does it at a really high level, I would love to talk to them so that maybe they can be part of the presentation. I love having presenters.
I have a question.
Yes.
On your buy and holds, this might be, ahead of next month's category, but what's the minimum cash flow you look at per door?
So this, Daryl, now it's $1,000. Like, I will not take anything less than $1,000. So I'm looking at higher price points now. We're exploring a 32 unit right now, which each door, if we get the right financing, will end up netting, gosh, probably like $32,000, right? So $1,000 each door, every month. But that wasn't the case when I began. So like, it was like $200 when I began. But now I just look at time's valuable, money is valuable. It's $1,000 right now. And I'm actually offloading some properties because they're not doing that. I have like $75 cash flow on one of my properties right now. And I'm like, take that off my books. Not worth it. Because if taxes go up and they're reassessed again, my $75 goes away. Yeah. So, Daryl, that might have just blown your mind. I'm sorry.
And do you have a certain price range that you look at, or do you just go across the board? Do you look at really distressed properties? You look at, as you mentioned, luxury property? You just scrub the records and find stuff?
Yeah, so I'm a deal girl. Like, if it doesn't work for me, it works for clients, right? So if it's presented in a way that makes sense on books, on paper, I will say and we've talked about this on past classes, but I have an avatar. I have a buyer box. So as long as it's a 3-bed, 2.5 bath, 2-car garage, 1-car garage, I've made some exceptions, in a great neighborhood, that's where I'm buying. So if it matches that, I don't care what the price point is. When I've made exceptions, like I have this really great property in Rock Hill, like great property. I thought about selling it, but it nets me so much money. So I'm like, I can't get rid of it. I don't want to get rid of it. It doesn't have a garage. And then I have another great property up in the university area. 1-car garage, total pain in my ass, but it nets me $1,100 a month, right? So it's like, I don't want to get rid of these things. I have one that we bought last year. We already have made $120,000 in equity. Like if I sold that puppy, I would make a crap ton of money. That's my $75. That's my $75 a month.
Really?
Yeah.
So that's why you're like, get rid of it, because you've already, you can take the profit.
I can take the profit and dump it into something else.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So,
All your properties in this area. Stay local.
so I have one at Golden Beach. I have one in the university area, Charlotte. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 in Fort Mill, 2 in Rock Hill. I think that's everything. And then the 32 unit is in, what state is that? Missouri. Yeah, because I mean, we can't get those deals here.
No,
Yes.
right. Our market is out of differential. That's
You have a manager out there at that property?
We will,
So you manage other properties? then?
for clients.
How'd you find the Missouri property? Just connections, network?
Just network. Other questions, thoughts? Helpful?
Yeah, fair.
Zoomers, thanks for joining.
Thank you for having me, Rebecca. What you were just talking about, that's exact scenario for a new all-in-one loan. You can look at it later, but that particular scenario, which you're talking about on cash flow, that's a perfect scenario. It's a really neat product. I don't have time to go over it right now, but if you're interested, I can brief you on it later.
Yeah, I love that. We'll connect, but I'll absolutely give your information to Bridget.
Perfect.
Lori. Yeah, everyone. Okay. Thanks, Matthew.
Yeah, have a good one.
Bye, Darrell.